Welcome to another episode of Art World Confessions. Today I'm going to be speaking about art in Gabon and art in Turkey. And again, I'm not an expert on art in Gabon, but I have visited there and I have met some people who live there and work there. And I was initiated there in 2020 in a village in Gabon. Initiation is part of their lifestyle and part of their religion, I guess you would call it. Gabon is called the Tibet of Africa, and it has a spiritual element which is really a huge part of their society and their culture, and is part of their art in terms of music, costume, dance. It's an integral part of their life. And even the shaman who I worked with at that time, he now lives in Brazil, and outside of that culture I see him continuing to make art physically with his hands, carving from trunks of trees and other things like that in his home. And recently I saw this post by Black home educators, and it had nothing to do with art, but it talked about a young woman, 17 years old, moving from Gabon to go to university in Turkey, and the fact that she was harassed so badly in Turkey, she eventually asked her parents to take her out of the country. I think she was there on a scholarship. Dina is her name, or was her name, because this harassment got so bad that at some point she died. She was murdered. And even though the authorities thought, this was just an accident, it most likely was an assault and murder. And it's still being investigated after protests in Gabon. And Turkey, I was visiting for an exhibition of graffiti art at the Para Museum a while back, and I must say I had a good time. I had a good time when I went around with the people that I knew in Turkey. I had a good time when I went around with the artists who were part of the exhibition, who came from all different parts of the world. And I had a good time going around by myself within certain pockets of Istanbul. I remember I was on a group tour of the Hagia Sophia, and I wandered away from the group just to see something that interested me. And at some point I felt someone pinching my butt. And this, is a holy place. It's a mosque in Istanbul. And when I looked around, the person who did it was in no way apologetic, but more like looking at me sort of like, you deserved it. You're cute, so you deserve it. And the person who was leading our tour group, I'm trying to remember what he said, but he basically said something to the effect of, it's better you stay with us than go wandering off. So again, it was my fault that someone assaulted me in a mosque. I should have stayed with the group. So in no way, shape or form, again, I went around Turkey, I saw some art dealers, I saw some art stuff. They have a great art fair as well. And I'm sure it's a great city for art. There are some collectors there. But in terms of going around as a single woman and a single woman of color, I'm not so sure it's the best place to feel comfortable and be comfortable and move around freely. Again, if you're going around with wealthy people, going in and out of chauffeured cars from door to door, it's probably a very beautiful city to hang out in. If you have to walk around by yourself and live there unprotected by yourself, again, I'm not so sure. And
January 2020.
I think she passed away in January. She was murdered sometime early this year, and it would be good if some people there would find out about it and make some sort of justice for this young woman. And going back to Gabon and the art, my book, which I wrote about recently, called The Tree of Enlightenment, The Seeds of Enlightenment, came out of my experience in Gabon, and knowing that young children there also go through a rite of passage in an initiation ceremony similar to the type that I had. These initiation ceremonies vary from place to place in Gabon. Different villages have different styles, and it's worth exploring if you're interested in this sort of experience. Anyways, that's it for today's episode of Art World Confessions. If you have a chance to visit Turkey, and if you haven't as yet, it's worth visiting. If you haven't been to Gabon, it's worth visiting as well. And I must say, again, the men were not aggressive in Gabon. It was just a different sort of feeling of safety. Not only because most people are of color, because most likely they could tell right away that, okay, this person of color is not from Gabon, they're probably from America. But there are lots of people from America in Gabon. There are lots of people who visit there from all over the world for tourism and for many other reasons. And it's a beautiful place all around it. Very tropical, very hot, but very beautiful. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this episode. Have a great week and see you again. Please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell notification button so you'll know when I upload another episode of Art World Confessions.